media watch on the other side of our studio. Good to see you. You've been looking at reactions to France's threat to end border controls at Calais in the event of the so-called Brexit, Britain leaving the EU.
Yes, and this has certainly got the British tabloids in particular very fired up indeed, because the press largely in the UK is obsessed with the idea of a Brexit and what it would mean for the United Kingdom. This cartoon comes from the Telegraph's cartoonist Christian Adams and features François Hollande as the French cock flapping his wings, while David Cameron is a very concerned-looking British bulldog repeating the phrase, "Calais will come to Kent," looking very perturbed by the whole thing. If we take a look at the Express, they're using very strong language, fury at the threat to scrap border checks at Calais, talking about dumping thousands of migrants on Britain's doorstep if the UK leaves the European Union. Now, they quote the Calais regional president, Xavier Bertrand, in this article, who says that if Britain leaves Europe, right away the border will leave Calais and go to Dover. We will not continue to guard the border for Britain if it is no longer in the European Union. So very categoric there from Monsieur Bertrand. The Daily Mail is picking up on the fact that a lot of people believe the timing of this is something of a conspiracy, because the comments came from Emmanuel Macron. They were published in the Financial Times today on the day of an Anglo-French summit. François Hollande meeting with David Cameron, and of course it gave both those leaders a chance to reiterate those messages. David Cameron doesn't want the UK out of the EU. Supposedly French leaders don't want it either, and it is being suggested that the two have worked together to concoct this to really make sure this message comes home today.
How Machiavellian would that be?
Absolutely. If we take a look at some of the reactions to this on this side of the channel here in France, this tweet is an interesting perspective on this one. The migrants should be made to feel welcome here, but the socialists are using them as a weapon against England. And this one too saying that France is not a waiting room for migrants heading to England. Let them go or send them back. And just one final note on this story. This really sums up French opinion from L'Opinion, funnily enough, about David Cameron's bid to get special treatment really from Europe. He says in franglais, if you want me to stay, you're going to have to put in a bit more effort, my friends. And he's being rowed along by Angela Merkel, François Hollande and Jean-Claude Juncker from the European Commission.
Miserable-faced they are, and Cameron there just fanning himself there, looking the part in many ways. Let's talk about Mitt Romney's speech then, condemning the Republican presidential hopeful Donald Trump. Well, Donald Trump, the man who's leading the stakes to become the Republican choice to run for president.
Yes, and it seems Mitt Romney has rather taken it upon himself to actually mount a campaign to try to stop him. The interesting thing with this is that it really did get a lot of attention. In the immediate aftermath of the speech, people were tweeting about Mitt Romney 38 times every second. It's an incredible figure.
38 times a second.
Yes, and basically what the Washington Post headline boils his speech down to is he's playing the American public for suckers. They also highlight his claim that the election will have profound consequences for the Republican Party and, more importantly, for the country as a whole. Some thought the speech was a sweeping success. Business Insider Mitt Romney fried Donald Trump in an epic speech. This one from NBC News, why Romney's anti-Trump speech is a turning point in the campaign. They say it's one of the most important moments in this 2016 presidential campaign. But if we take a look at Fortune, they say it's just going to galvanise the support of Trump and that it will deepen the already cavernous rift that exists in the Republican Party.
Because one of the issues about Trump's support is that he's a billionaire, but he's mobilised working-class Republicans, if you like, to think that he's their voice. It is a strange sort of smoke and mirrors effect in many ways.
Exactly. He's seen to be the voice of the people, the voice for the little man.
Disenfranchised.
Exactly. And it's kind of strange that he's managed it. However, going back to reactions to this speech from Mitt Romney, the Washington Post have this opinion piece from Chris Cillizza, and he seems to think that this is actually a real own goal for the Republicans. He says, if you think that this is going to be the moment when the establishment stands up to Trump screaming enough at the top of its lungs, you would almost certainly be wrong, he says. He says this attack is going to cement Trump's hold on the nomination, because Romney is the face of the establishment, which is everything that Trump has been running his campaign against. Now, of course, Trump's response to this was what you might have expected, very bombastic, quite rude in every sense, really. The Daily Beast highlighting this particular comment: Mitt would have gotten on his knees for me, talking about the fact that he endorsed Mitt Romney back in 2012 when he was in the running to be the Republican presidential candidate. That's caused some shock and consternation online. This Twitter user saying, "Is this a new campaign slogan? Drop to your knees, America," and they did. As for Mitt Romney himself, his reaction to this: if Trump had said 4 years ago the things he says today, I would not have accepted his endorsement.
Emma with Media Watch, thank you very much indeed. Marcus with The Business, thanks to you, and thank you for watching too. Stay with us, more news to come.